What's up, fellas? It's Feeds, your boy. We're just going. We're gonna go over Bet El Kazar today. I'll just call him Bet El or El Kazar for the rest of the video. So this guy is by far one of the probably the top two or top three heroes in the entire game. And the reason why is because his kill potential is just so strong, and his ability and functionality to do so many different things is just there. Even with negative affinity, he against certain bosses or fights, he's still overwhelmingly powerful. And the reason why, more than anything else, is just because of how his skill set works. So gearing him, you could effectively gear him however you want. A lot of people will gear him for speed and arena. Outside of that, though, he's got a relatively high base speed anyways, at 102, which makes him really strong out the gate. But there's a lot of functionality that goes into it. For the build that I have with him, I just went straight power and armor pin. It makes it pretty convenient overall because what it allows you to do is still get a high amount of damage. And the reason why damage is so important is because of his A1. Dark Sphere attacks all enemies, heals the champion and all allies by 20% of the damage inflicted. So effectively, as long as you're mollywopping these people, you're going to hit every single one in there. So for instance, in Spider, when you hit 5, 6, 7 Spiderlings plus the boss, it's a pretty significant amount of healing that goes back to the party and the group with it, plus the damage output because you're ignoring the armor or armor penetration plus just the raw power that comes to it. So as you can see, obviously I'm missing a neck piece. He doesn't have a high amount of crit that goes into him. You can go high crit build with him. It definitely helps in that regard, and definitely makes it easy for you. But ultimately, you don't have to build that way. High crit is good though if you go high crit speed in arenas, because what you'll do is you'll have high healing output plus the amount of damage that goes to it. Kind of where the bread and butter though for this guy is on his malice. And the reason why this ability is just so strong is because of the amount of healing that it does, plus the amount of damage it does. So clan boss, high HP bosses, arenas where you can get high amount of turns onto it. You can effectively stack continuous heals while you're doing a significant amount of damage, and it puts a lot of high pressure to you. So ultimately, you never can really fall short with this guy. And ultimately, if you start him, his aura is pretty awesome. It's 25% crit rate, which is pretty significant. So if you ran like a Relic Keeper build, or if you ran someone who needed high crit, maybe Cold Heart or something of that nature, effectively you just start him as your leader, and you've got that extra 25% crit, which can push a lot of people over. So you don't have to stack 100% crit. You can stack 75, 70%, and still get close to where you need to be at to make it work without having to go overboard. Because gearing in this game can be completely and literally one of the most annoying things possible, especially if you're not very friendly to RNG. As you can tell, I've farmed Spider and a lot of other places to get the neck piece, and I have yet to get it in. And of course, I'm using a gray banner that comes to it. So, just kind of going over the Masteries. I built him a little different than probably most people do, and that's just simply because I like the skill set, and I have a lot of high sustain that comes with it. If you build him like a support, it gives you that opportunity to, of course, placing your debuffs on with better percentage, stacking accuracy, things of that nature. And then, of course, you still get your raw damage output. So if you do things, it allows you to basically do a little bit of extra oomph that comes with it. And then all goes back into your A1, which gives you the extra healing that comes into it for that regard. So Bet El Kazar is really strong in almost skill set, and he can pretty much solo the Minotaur as well as other things. So I'm going to show you Minotaur real quick, kind of what he does to it. Now I'm going to 2-man it just for the sake of showing you his functionality, and I'm going to do it simply just with Gorgorab. And my Gorgorab's he's all right. He's not maxed out or anything like that. Nothing crazy. Running shield, but that's about it. So I'm just going to show you. Bet El Kazar does a lot for wave clear too. So ultimately, if you wanted to build him with like a Bellower or something of that nature, it just makes it for an incredibly efficient way to knock out stuff. It's also a pretty good way to power level for scrolls and stuff of that nature. So we're just gonna do just show you. Malice, put up all the poison, of course. Makes it pretty convenient overall. And then on the attack, so not that I need to heal, but does a significant amount, ignores the defense that comes to it, and then ultimately puts you in a pretty good spot. So as you can see, he takes a decent amount of damage. Not a big deal there. And then, of course, already for my second form of his A2, which comes off pretty convenient. Oh, and then another thing, too. So his Malice, it's a... happens every 3 turns, moves all debuffs from allies. This is also pretty strong because what it allows you to do, ultimately, is it puts you in a pretty strong spot overall. And it makes it pretty convenient for you in regards to that. So it's strong because it basically inhibits a lot of people from doing a significant amount of damage to you. And of course, in the same spot, as you can see, I've got 4 stacks of poisons on. So for clan boss and things like that, the percent damage that goes on is pretty significant. So attack, get all my healing back. As you can see, these mobs are 185, and they have they're a void affinity. So I don't do any significant or extra damage to them when it comes to it. So, but makes it overall convenient. I'm gonna auto this. I'm gonna auto the rest of this real quick, just so you can see it. I don't know why I had a brain fart there. But makes it strong overall. Battle Kazar is actually pretty significant in regards to it, and it's probably one of the best pulls you can get. There's not a team I wouldn't use him on. But there are better choices for some other options or for some other fights. But ultimately, it just boils down to personal preference and who else you have to build with it. You know, gearing in this game it's all relative. So if you pull, you know, a full lifesteal set and it's all defense, obviously you can't put it on attack hero. But in the sake of Battle Kazar, I'm still trying different things with him. I want to try doing different builds like Relentless and stuff like that to see how many opportunities I can get as far as like pushing out the poisons. I think ultimately if you do a high enough speed count, you can actually get him to do 3 sets of his Malice before it wears off. But you'd need to build and have a speed aura hero like Prince Naimar or Jingle Hunter or something like that, so you can get the extra speed that goes to it. But it's a pretty good way, and ultimately overall really strong. If I had to give him a power ranking myself, I'd probably be 5 out of 5. That comes with it. Makes it. There's no reason not to believe that he's probably the best hero in the game, because regardless of how you build him, you can ultimately do whatever you want to do with him, even if you build him poorly. So makes it pretty easy at the end of the day to give you an option or functionality that comes with it, and of course makes it easier too, because once you take all that pressure off and put a high amount of pressure out, it gives you a lot of functionality that comes with it too when you're talking about stuff like that. So as you can see, Minotaur, not really an issue for us, of course. Got a huge amount of HP at this level too, so the poisons do a pretty significant amount of damage to him. And then of course balances up again. So just chunking him away there, you know, makes it a pretty good deal, and ultimately gives you an option to kind of do this. This is the way that I decided to power level all of my guys through this to getting scrolls, was using Battle. And as you can see, Battle's not even maxed out with this last ability. I honestly might run with the percent damage on attack as the last ability, like the Giant Slayer option, or War Mode option with him, just to give him kind of the ability to do a little extra damage, because I don't really have any other sustain issues with him, and it just gives you that ability to do some extra stuff with him as well. I think when they release the level 20 dungeons, having a Battle Kazar will give you a huge advantage. So if you do pull him, make sure you try and get him geared up and ascended as fast as possible, because he's going to be one of your top tier carriers too. He's not the most efficient when it comes to like doing trash clears or anything like that, but ultimately he's going to be the most dependent when it comes to making sure that you get through it and knocking out the dungeon without any issues, dungeons or campaigns for that regard. So easy clap, easy clear, no problems. As you can see, he did 1.1 million damage there, did almost 1 million in healing. So this just gives him a lot of functionality and ability to do stuff in the in-game that I think a lot of people don't have if they don't have him when it comes to it. So again, Battle Kazar's great way to go. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave comments at the bottom. I'm always willing to hear new builds. I constantly am trying to rotate and try different stuff with different heroes, and would love to see what you guys have suggested for them, or see how you've built Battle, and if there's something better, I'll definitely make a video about it. So appreciate it, guys, again, and have a great one.
Run! It's gonna be a left click. It's gonna be a left click.
Woo!